All right, my friends, this is where things start to get a little bit hairy. This is where I boldly go into where I have no idea exactly what I'm doing. But I'm going to make an attempt at doing something different than what is happening here in the example project. Now, this is not teach you how to mod video as much as it is I'm gonna learn and you can, I guess, learn with me. So be prepared for either a very long video or a very quick, successful, flawless, perfect video, which it won't be. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about sort of programming related stuff. Um, and sort of dumb this project down a lot and try to make it a lot more simple. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is uh, probably very new to you if you've never done any programming before. So I'll try to keep it very simple. My advice, though, is to learn uh, some programming language and some programming concepts, some computer science concepts that will help you sort of go along with this stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to delete, let's say, in the examples folder, I'm going to remove 99% of these things and just keep the one that I want to work with. And in this case, we'll just do the mob, right? So I'm going to delete everything else. And it's telling me it's being used in a bunch of places. And am I sure that I want to delete it? I'm going to say yes, right? And I'll fix that later. You can see now in my main mod, these things have gone red. It means it can't find them anymore. No big deal. We'll deal with that in a minute. I'm going to delete this other stuff here. Again, these are messages that are popping up. I'm just going to checkbox these things and hit OK. And we'll see what happens, right? So just hang in there, all right? The first thing I want to do is start deleting these calls that I'm not going to need. I don't need these registries for the tiles. I don't need the registry for these items. I don't need this register for the projectile, the buff, or the packet. I still am using the mob, so I'm going to leave that in there. I don't need this chat command. And as a matter of fact, I don't think I need any of this down here either, because there's nothing except for this mob posting it, telling the mob where to spawn. Out example mob to default caves. Right. So that's the only thing I'm leaving in here. And to make it look a little bit cleaner, we'll do that. So we're going to save that. So all that's left in this main class file is the mob stuff. And you can see these all went gray. So I'm going to delete these. I don't need these imported things anymore because I'm not actually using them. So we're simplifying the thing that we're sort of targeting. I'm going to get rid of these resource files too, the items and the buffs and the locale stuff. Actually, I'll leave the locale thing in there. I might go over that. So I'm going to delete this file. And we're going to delete items file. We'll get rid of the example mob zombie. We'll leave the kitty in there, and we'll get rid of the player weapons and the projectiles folders. Right. So this is the whole project has changed now. Basically, I've removed everything that I really am not going to use, and left the things in there that I am going to use. And now I'm going to start saying, okay, if I want to add a mob to the game, what are all the things that I can do with that mob? And so the first place I want to look is the example mob class. But first I'm going to rename this .examples, this examples directory. I'm going to rename it to just say mobs, or Nicce's mobs. So let's say I wanted to add a couple of different mobs. I'll go ahead and refactor this one to say, I don't know, cat mob. Because what if I want the cat mob to have certain behavior, and then I want to have a different type of mob with a different behavior? And so I want to kind of go over these different files. So there's only really, let me delete this too. Now there's only really two files that make up this entire mod, right? There's the main mod file. And in the main mod file, you can see that it's annotated as a mod entry. But if you look at the cat mob file, it's not annotated as a mod entry. It doesn't, I guess it doesn't need to be, because when the game loads this, excuse me, I'm trying to think of the word now, the jar file, it's going to see that the mod is actually this whole thing right here. But you might be asking, well, what about this file? Well, that's easy to answer. We're importing everything from this file into this file right here. Nicce's example mod, Nicce's mobs, and then star for everything. So I'm already importing all of these classes, one of them being the cat mob, into my main mod file. So I guess I can make this say generating cat mob, or generating these mobs. Now, this mob registry .register mob, that's the first thing that's happening. When the game loads up this mod, first thing it does is print out a line. It's running the init function. It's printing out this line, and then it's registering this mob. That's the first thing it does. Now, the string ID for the register mob, it says example mob, but I guess I could just change this to say cat mob. And down here, I'll say cat mob. I'm giving it an ID, but I think I need to look at my locale file, and I can get rid of all of this stuff except for the mob. And I don't know, I really don't know what this reference, this lang file is 100% used for, but I do believe I need to match the name. cat mob here. So mob string ID is cat mob. Register mob string ID is cat mob. This class, ooh, it's using example item, and I deleted the example item. I wonder if I can actually get rid of this loot table completely. Let's see if that works. Like I said, we're diving into unknown territory here. But I didn't want it to try to reference that example item anymore because I removed it. And now you can see I don't need those imports anymore. So this is all the behavior of the cat mob. But then when we look back at the example mod, this is where we're registering the cat mob. And then this is where we're giving it a texture. And then this is where we're telling it what biome it can spawn in, I guess. Let's play around with something real quick and say, we'll copy this whole line just so we don't mess ourselves up. And then we'll comment it out. And then we'll paste. And we'll go all the way back to biome. And let's see what we can do with biome. We'll say biome dot. Let's see, we got default cave mobs, common fish, default cave critters, deep cave mobs, surface critters, surface mobs. So let's set it to be a surface mob. And then we'll do dot, and then we can say add, which will just follow that for now. And then it'll take in parameters tickets and mob string ID. Tickets, let's just say 1,000, because I don't know how the ticket count works right now. And then the string ID obviously is going to be cat mob. And then we have to finish the line with our semicolon, because Java. So right now we really dumbed down the mod to only be a mob mod. Let's look back at the cat mob class and see if there's anything else we might want to change. Let's change the speed back to 50. We'll change the friction back to 3. And we'll take a closer look at the collision box. So the collision box is, I would assume all of these should be relatively the same size, but it looks like they're not. The hitbox is actually bigger than the collision box as far as height goes. But that actually makes sense. I'm going to update the collision box, and the thing is, I don't know, is this being measured in pixels? I'm assuming yes. So, and then this is, I guess, this X and Y value is probably the anchor. So let's just leave the anchor. I know that the cat is 32 pixels by 32 pixels. Or actually, I think it's 64 by 64. I could be wrong. I'm going to double check that. Give me a second here. 64 by 64. Okay. So that means that the very center, that I guess you could say the anchor, I have to decide where I want that to be. So I'm just going to say 31, 51. Because I can see on the bottom left of my screen, that's the coordinates. But anyways, yeah, it's the coordinates per animation frame. Luckily, if I start on the top left, that's at 0, 0, so I can see roughly where it's going to be in each animation frame. The anchor, I'm assuming, is 31, 51 here. So let's go back to the code. Interesting. Negative 10 or negative 10 and 7. What would that be for the zombie? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. I wonder if it's the offset from the center of the 32 or 64 by 64. That's what I'm going to assume now, because looking at those numbers, negative or x is negative 10 and y is negative 7. It wouldn't make sense for the, here's the zombie. It wouldn't make sense for the offset to be negative 10 and 7 from the 0, 0 point. So assuming that the game engine is reading the 0, 0 point to be the very center of that 64 by 64 uh, frame, that's down by 7. Was it the y-axis? Down by 7 and then to the left by 10. So about like right here-ish is the anchor point, I think, assuming that's what it means. My cat is basically pasted right on top of that, so the anchor point's kind of in the same spot. And I guess I'll leave it there for now. The collision box is 20 wide and 14 high. Again, I'm assuming that that's 20 pixels out from the anchor point in the left and right directions, and then 14 in the top and down directions. I don't know how the engine reads anchor points and decides collision boxes, though. Long story short, this was a little learning experience just from reading and like understanding, but I'm actually going to leave this the way it is for now. Um, Setting up the AI. So we've imported entity, mobs, AI, behavior tree AI. I wonder what other types of AI I could possibly import. Entity, mobs, AI, behavior tree. Okay, so that's just like the base behavior tree. Oh, and then they did dot trees dot. Ah, here we go. Let's look through some of these. Bird critter AI, collision player chaser, follower wanderer. I guess I'll use the Let's try follower chaser AI. Instead of collision player chaser wonder AI, let's try player follower chaser AI. Now, thing about this is, oh, let me undo that and see what happened here. Yeah. Thing about this is, look, I'm already getting an error here. Is that because I didn't save it after I did the import? No. What's the error I'm getting? Player follower chaser AI is abstract and cannot be instantiated. So I can't use that AI like this, I should say. Hmm. Bad, bad. Not gonna happen. Let's try a different one. Collision player chaser. Collision shooter player chaser. Chaser wanderer. Try that. Okay, that's also complaining because it's abstract and cannot be instantiated. Abstraction is something that I don't 100% understand yet. So I'm just going to leave the AI alone for now. Maybe somebody can explain to me later how I would give this mob a different AI without breaking everything. All right, so let's skip past that. Spawn death particles. It's using the texture's death particles. And you can see here in this, I'm guessing the death particles are one of these few boxes down here, which I did not set up for my cat yet. So it's not going to have any death particles. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this in here, but I'm going to leave it alone. Adding the drawables, I think, is taking the texture, the imported textures, and then initiating a draw, so drawing it, and then telling the sprite where to go, and the resolution, which is 64, and then giving it a light. Game light light equals level dot get light level. Interesting. So we could possibly change the lighting or the type of lighting that it gets, which could be interesting actually. Add shadow drawables, and it uses that light again down here. I'm gonna see what I can change here with the light. Level dot get light level. What about level dot? No. It's taking the level of light from the tile, I'm guessing, and then applying that as the light for the player. I was thinking maybe I could get this player to illuminate more light, but in my dreams, I guess. Change the speed at which this mob's animation plays. Okay. So currently it's at 20, and you notice the animation earlier seemed like it was running kind of slow after I changed the speed. So I wonder if I change the speed and then I also change the animation speed, if I can make it look smoother. So anyways, as you can see, we didn't do much, but we did look at the cat mob to see like what some of the things that we could possibly change here. And we looked a little bit closer at what we can do with it. And we didn't do anything really except for change the speed back and the health back and the friction back. And then we looked at some of these other things here that we didn't actually like change anything about, to be honest. But let's do one thing at least. Let's change the search distance to 12 times 64. And the game damage down to 1. And the knockback down to 1. And the wonder frequency will add a 0. And I think we changed this tickets to 1,000. I think it was 100 before we changed it to 1,000. So I don't know if that means we're going to see a lot more of them or a lot less. So let's go ahead and save that and then run the build and then run the client. So the only difference between what we had before is that we had to go down into the cave before to see the mob, but I changed it to be one of the surface level mobs. And then I changed some of the settings of the cat mob. Excuse me. So let's do that. And then I'm going to wait until nighttime so that I can get it to spawn at night. Because it is a surface level mob, and surface level mobs we know from playing the game that they only spawn at night. Alright, so we're awake. If we wander into the darkness, now we set that the tickets thing to 1,000. It looks like that means it's more likely to spawn. Yeah, it's a lot more likely now. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, we are in kitty paradise right now. And it's really fast. I mean, I got a whole crew after me now. So I keep going. So turning that ticket, those tickets up really increase the amount of spawns. And I really hate to do this to you, but yeah. So there we go. We were able to see that, man, those settings really amped up the amount that we find them. So what else did we do? We added more tickets, so there's a higher weight to it being seen, I guess. What else did we change? We changed the speed back to 50, the friction back to 3, and the search distance, we upped it to 12 times 64. We made it have basically no knockback and a very high wonder frequency. That's pretty much all we did. Let's do one more thing. We'll change this we'll set the speed back down to like 20. I want to see if that updates the animation speed. And we'll give it like lower health so it's easier to kill. So like 10. We'll build it. And we'll run it. So I'm curious, I made it slower. Does that mean the animation is now going to be slower? And if so, can we go back and change that get rock speed uh, value to make the animation more smooth, even though the uh, speed is slower? We should be seeing some, yeah. It looks like the animation speed is definitely a lot slower now. The animation speed seems to change with the actual speed of the mob, which kind of makes sense. I wouldn't want him to look like he's running a lot faster than he actually is. But let's try that and see what happens. And I should be able to kill these all in one hit. Yeah, because we changed their health all the way down to 10. Alright, so yeah. Let's go back. And we'll go back to the cat mob and we'll go down here. And we'll change this to 40. Build it. So now that the cat is moving slower, were we also able to turn up the animation speed to make it look like it's like when you're in a dream and you're trying to run really fast, but you're actually going really slow? I wonder if that's what it looked like. So we doubled the animation speed, or no, I think that actually made, in increasing that number actually made the animation even slower. Yeah, it did. So we want to decrease that number to make the animation run faster than it's actually going. All right. So we're learning some things along the way. So it was 20, let's change it to 10. So half of what it was. Build it. Run it. Sometimes you just gotta play with those numbers and see what they do, and then check it out in the game and test it. You know, it'd be really nice if I could like go in the code and change it on the fly. I might try that, but I don't think that's gonna work because I think you have to build it before you actually test it. Yeah, so the animation's definitely faster now, even though they're moving slower. And I think that looks a little bit better. It's cute. It's definitely cute. Right. So if you want to hoard a bunch of cats, I should make them do 0 damage and have like just forever health. And then the mod will basically be like random stray cats follow you around mod version 1.0. Right. So I do like that animation speed a lot better. I'm gonna add a note here that says lower is faster. Um, and then game damage. I wonder if I can set it to 0. Hopefully I can. And then where's their health? Let's change their health to like, let's see how high we can make this go. We'll just do like 100,000, right? So my hunter can't just like kill them. So they're harmless because we're giving them 0 game damage. Hopefully that works. They do have some knockback. I should up their knockback to like 100 so that when they hit me, it doesn't do any damage, but it knocks me way back, right? All right, let's try that. I'm hoping that 0, the game engine doesn't complain about that 0 damage, but we'll see. Like, dude, I just want to make my stray cats harmless to me, except they can like really knock me back. All right, that seemed to work, so let's load it. Let's see how far they knock us back, and if they do any damage. They shouldn't do any damage at all, technically. And knockback 100 is still not that bad. Oh, they're still doing 1 damage to me, though. So I guess I can't really go 0. But let's try to change that knockback to something ridiculous, just for fun. So we know that 100 doesn't knock you back very far. Let's add a couple zeros to that. We'll do 10,000 knockback. That will be fun. Build mod jar. And then run client. And I don't know if knockback means like how far they knock me back or how far I knock them back, but we're about to find out. I'm like wondering if I'm gonna break the game engine by putting numbers that are way too big. Oh Lord, yeah, that's how far they knock you back. So Kitty's packed some punch. Oh my gosh. Oh wow, yeah. Fast travel kitties. That's great. Okay. So yeah, you can do things like that. You just gotta play with the numbers, and it's kind of fun actually to just play with it and see what you can do. But yeah, I don't think I can kill these because I made their health way too high. And my knockback on them is based on my weapons knockback, I believe. So yeah, I think their knockback is a little bit too high. Let's get out of there. Alright, so I want the takeaway from this to be that this is a simple mod that adds a cat mob. The catmob.java class is the behavior. Notice, but I didn't write any of this on my own. This was part of the example. So you can assume that if you're going to make a mob, you're going to need most of this functionality to be a part of that mob. But then you might be able to import other things that add other pieces of functionality. But I think this is the baseline functionality for a mob that you need to have in your mob class. And then instantiating the class, that I'm wondering if I could probably set the tickets, the weight of how often it spawns within the cat mob class. Um, I guess I can try that real quick just to see if that's possible. But instead of doing that, we're doing it on post init because it's registering the mob first, and I think that's why it's actually doing it out here because it's initializing it and calling the class and then getting the textures and then telling it how much it can spawn in what biome. So actually, I don't think we can do this back in the cat mob class. So just this is just a general like how to add a mob, right? And how to make it do things. And maybe I'll dive into some more stuff later. But this is adding something to the game, not changing anything in the base game. And I'll do some more videos at another time. Thanks for watching.